covering all of 8 country. Straight ahead on Pro 8 News at 6, the man accused of sending a judge a sexually explicit letter could face another decade in prison. Plus, the war of words continues between the 2 gubernatorial candidates over their advertising strategies. And why did some downtown commuters hear some strange bird calls this morning? The news is next.
Pro 8 News at 6. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening, and thank you for choosing Laredo's top-rated newscast. I'm Audra Schrader.
And I'm Tim Gutierrez. A man behind bars may have gotten himself into more trouble and may have more time added to his sentence now.
Joshua Burkett is serving time for a robbery, but is now facing new charges. Michelle Lockhart joins us live in the story.
Audra, Tim, the district attorney's office says Burkett allegedly sent Judge Ender a letter that was sexual in nature and threatened her. This is video of 27-year-old Joshua Burkett. He is currently serving 10 years behind bars for a robbery, but may now be facing even more time. That's because he allegedly sent Judge Ender the threatening letter while he was behind bars. Burkett was formally charged today for retaliation. He entered a not guilty plea, but Judge Ender isn't the only judge who received similar letters in the mail.
He has allegedly sent out 6 letters to other judges threatening harm, threatening to kill in some situations.
Now, the pretrial hearing for Burkett is set for September 19th. The sentencing for retaliation can range anywhere between 2 to 10 years and can include a $10,000 fine. Reporting live in the newsroom, Michelle Lockhart, Laredo's Pro 8 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Michelle. A man accused of 3 counts of injury to a child and 12 counts of sexual assault was sentenced today. 23-year-old Jorge Silva Valderes pleaded guilty to 4 of the 15 charges. The other charges were dismissed. Valderes will now be serving 7 years behind bars for those 4 counts.
A Laredo woman found out the hard way today that it doesn't help to cheat on your tax return. Marta Martinez was charged by the U.S. Attorney's Office with 26 counts of tax fraud allegedly committed between 1996 and 1997. In addition to tax fraud, Martinez also is being charged with making false statements on her tax return, as well as aiding in preparing a false tax document. If convicted of all the counts that she faces, she could serve a maximum penalty of 11 years in prison and a fine of $600,000.
A murder suspect who has been a no-show in court must face a psychological exam. 18-year-old John Kepler is accused of killing Diego Franco. Seen there actually in that picture you just looked at. The judge for the county court at Law Number 1 ordered an evaluation of Kepler, but his attorney disagreed and filed a complaint with the 4th Court of Appeals in San Antonio. The court sided with the judge. Kepler is scheduled to be back in court on Thursday for his psychological evaluation. Kepler skipped a court-ordered appointment last month. Now there is a warrant out for his arrest. 2 parents accused of injury to a child were no-shows in court today. 27-year-old Rosa Elvira Morales and 34-year-old Jeremios Rene Cano Chavez were charged back in April. Now, this isn't the first time the couple has been in trouble with the law. They recently got their 4 kids back after Child Protective Services says they took them away for abuse and neglect. This case is still under investigation. The 2 are still on the run. Police believe they may be in Mexico.
Across the border now, 2 men are arrested for transporting 7 undocumented immigrants. The undocumented immigrants are from Honduras. They were caught by authorities after the men smuggling them failed to stop at the Nuevo Laredo checkpoint. The Suburban they were riding in was later pulled over on the highway. 1 Mexican national and an Honduran were arrested in that case. Also in our sister city, a 27-year-old mother is dead while riding in the car with her husband and young daughter. The victim from Piedras Negras was killed instantly when her husband lost control of the vehicle they were riding in, hit a street light, then crashed into a cargo truck. The husband was taken into custody. He was not been charged with her death. As for the 9-month-old, she escaped the accident without any injury.
Only half of the presenters expected at the El Metro Advisory Committee today showed up, and that left many asking questions. There were 4 items on the agenda, with half of them planned to be presented by the Texas Department of Transportation, but they were not at the meeting. TxDOT was scheduled to report on the ongoing street construction and the border inspection stations. Although the Traffic Safety Department was at the meeting to answer questions with only half of their presenters on hand, The committee has some concerns.
About the Milo interchange, and they seem to have had some problems moving that project along, and it's important to find out what the status is.
Putting speed humps in the Plantation subdivision, especially on Country Club Drive, but you also have to take into consideration that you have the Country Club there, and you can slow down traffic.
This advisory board is only advised to make recommendations to City Council but cannot make a policy. Therefore, they may have to wait until their next meeting on the morning of August the 29th before any action could be taken.
Now to Decision 2002, a federal judge referenced in a new commercial aired by Governor Rick Perry's campaign says the ad takes his words out of context. The Republican governor's spot says federal judge Harry Lee Hudspeth confirmed Democrat Tony Sanchez's Tesoro savings and loan wired millions of laundered drug dollars. The spot also contends Sanchez didn't fully cooperate with a federal investigation of the laundering. Hudspeth says that his ruling had nothing to do with Laredo, but rather with the First City National Bank of El Paso. He says the Perry ad expands far beyond its proper boundaries. Meanwhile, Governor Rick Perry continues to lead the polls in Texas, but his Democratic challenger is closing the gap. So we wanted to hear why both candidates want your vote. Tonight at 10, we start a Pro 8 News special report in which we go one-on-one with both candidates. First, we start with the governor and an Only on 8 interview. Rick Perry talks about the differences between him and Sanchez, including why he thinks Sanchez is not being truthful about where his money is coming from and holding back some of his financial reports.
I think you have to be open and honest about your personal finances. That's the reason we've asked Mr. Sanchez to be open and honest about his personal finances. He refuses to do that.
Hear more from the governor in an exclusive interview new at 10 tonight. Perry talks education, transportation, and border issues. Then stay tuned tomorrow for an exclusive with Tony Sanchez and why he thinks Perry has sold out the governor's office. Join us for Pro 8 News at 10. Audra?
Tim, city leaders are defending their tax increase or proposed property tax increase they want to put in place for the next fiscal year. The city staff presented a total budget of more than $240 million yesterday to the Laredo City Council. The dollars will help fund 110 new jobs for the city police and fire departments. The proposed tax increase would then hike up to 4.4 cents for every $100. That would amount to $44 a year for the owner of a $100,000 home.
What is it worth to you to make sure you have an ambulance if you have a heart attack and that an ambulance is available? And what is it worth to you if you have a break-in or somebody breaking into your house while you're in there for there to be a police response? What is it worth?
The city's current property tax stands at 0.58 cents for every $100.
And now to the craziest story of the day. 2 downtown visitors become jailbirds tonight after police caught them pecking around a Laredo plaza. Police responded to calls concerning these 2 emus early this morning. Neighbors reportedly saw them walking through St. Peter's Plaza and down Santa Rita Avenue around 5 a.m. Animal Control picked up the birds and took them to the animal shelter. They think the emus walked here themselves along the riverbanks or someone dropped them off. If you know anything about the birds, call Animal Control at 795-2485. We're told the owner could be cited for allowing livestock here in the city limits.
And those birds are probably pretty happy that they're now, or they have been captured, and now they're at the animal shelter in some shade.
Because it was pretty hot out there today.
Very hot.
Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Heatwave Berger live in the Weather Center with more. Heatwave?
It's 99 right now, and it looks like we're in store for a breezy evening, a warm evening. At 10 o'clock, we'll still be a little bit over 90. I'll have all the weather in a few minutes.
And still ahead on Pro 8 News at 6, find out why a driver used his 18-wheeler to plow into a tire store.
Plus, there's more bad news tonight for air travelers.
We're covering all of 8 country, including Los Dos Laredos, Miranda City, and Asherton.
You're watching Pro 8 News at 6, coverage you can count on.
Pro 8 News continues with Tim Gutierrez and Audra Schrader.
Covering Texas tonight, a wrecker driver now faces aggravated assault charges for allegedly using his truck for revenge. Police say the driver plowed into this tire store yesterday evening in Houston. Witnesses tell police the tow truck driver was aiming for another driver from a competing tow truck company. He's now being detained as police investigate that incident. The 2 victims who were hit are in fair condition tonight. And 2 teenagers suspected of stealing several new cars are now being held in custody. The thefts took place at the Rail Yard Distribution Center in Mesquite, Texas. Authorities say the suspects knocked down a chain link fence before stealing the cars. In all, as many as 10 new Dodge vehicles were stolen, with 4 of them recovered in Dallas and 1 recovered in Mesquite. Police suspect the boys may have been working with a group of teenagers. And luckily, nobody was hurt today when an 18-wheeler hauling a load of beer crashed, spilling some of the cargo onto the street. Houston police say it appears the driver took a turn too fast and the rig went over. Crews spent several hours cleaning up the spilled beer there.
On the business front tonight, the leaders of 3 telecom titans say their financial turmoil won't cause major phone or internet disruptions. The chairman of the FCC also reassured Congress that we are not facing a communications crisis. Top executives from WorldCom, Global Crossing, and Q-West Communications testified before the Senate Commerce Committee this afternoon. WorldCom filed the biggest corporate bankruptcy in history earlier this month. Global Crossing is also bankrupt, and Q-West Communications disclosed its own accounting errors on Sunday. The Justice Department and the SEC are currently investigating all 3 telecom companies for accounting irregularities. And Vanguard Airlines today suspended operations as it prepares to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The Kansas City-based discount carrier also says it plans to lay off most of its employees. Vanguard served 17 destinations, including Austin and Dallas-Fort Worth. The Air Transportation Stabilization Board today announced it had rejected a request that the federal government guarantee an $8 million loan for that airline.
We've had such a mild summer that anytime we hit above 100, people start to complain, saying it's too hot.
You ask heat wave, you'd say this is mild.
Yeah, this is great, heat wave would say.
We're just getting into really the territory that we would normally occupy as far as temperatures are concerned. 100-degree weather. We got up to 101. Nights do continue warm this year. 80, the average has worked out to be 76 for this day. 3 years ago, it was 110. I'll be right back.
It's summer 2002, the International Year of 2. And to celebrate, Pizza Hut is continuing the 2002 for deal. Right now, you can get 2 large one-topping pizzas fully loaded for only $15.99. Incredible, we know, but wait, there's more. You'll also get a 2-liter Pepsi free. You got that? I'm talking 2 large pizzas with one topping of your choice, $15.99. And you get a 2-liter Pepsi free. And nothing beats free. The summer 2002 for deal, only at Pizza Hut.
Pro 8 News continues with Chief Meteorologist Richard Heatwave Burler, who has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
Good evening. I'm looking at heat to date tonight. Ordinarily, Laredo has more 90-degree weather than any other major metropolitan area in the country, and so far this year that's pretty much been the case. 110 days so far over 90. We've had 36 days over 100. Just up the road in San Antonio, they've had only 63 days as high as 90, and so far they haven't even had a single day to hit 100 degrees. Comparing this to almost as much 90-degree weather as we've had, but they're way ahead of us as far as 100-degree heat. They've had 67 days. If you're wondering what it's like to go to Disneyland in Florida, Disney World, Orlando's had 51 days over 90 so far, less than half of what Laredo's had, no 100-degree heat. And in the north central portions of the Great Plains, their heat season isn't nearly as long as at our latitude. They've only had 42 days over 90, but they can get some pretty good heat when it does get hot in the middle of June, July, and August. They've had 17 days over 100. Tonight, I'm expecting a warm night, upper 70s, maybe another night of 80-degree weather. The pollen counts are right on the border between low and medium, and that should be the case tomorrow as well for grass and elm. 99 right now, southeasterly winds at 16 miles per hour. The temperatures at this point, around 100 degrees right along the Rio Grande. As you go to the east towards the coast, a little bit cooler. It's 87 degrees in Corpus, San Antonio. Another day where it failed to hit 100 over there. They are now 90. The central portions of the Great Plains, though, I showed you how Phillip in South Dakota has had 100-degree weather. They made it to 100 degrees today. They're still well up in the 90s, and even in Boston at this hour, 90 degrees. So it's hot over most of the U.S. All the cool air is bottled up in Canada. A dry and fairly stable air mass. Showers did get as close by as Dimmitt County last night, but it's a dry, sinking air mass, and if anything, expanding as we go through time. So all the clouds are starting to back off to the west, and it looks as if we'll have generally fair skies for the next several days. Looking at our next graphic, I'm expecting tomorrow to start out in the upper 70s, 90 by midday, 100 or so by the end of the afternoon, so practically the same type of weather that we had today. Our air disturbance, which extends from Del Rio into northern Texas, will come no closer to us than where it is now. And another system over the Gulf of Mexico is pretty much being blocked by high pressure from moving to the west at least any time soon. So at least through Friday and perhaps even into Saturday, pretty much the same type of weather as what we have going right now. Pretty much what you would expect for July, upper 70s to around 80 for the overnight low, and for the 5 days, I think we'll continue to see the 100-degree weather, 101 or so, upper 70s at night. If Gulf of Mexico moisture is to break through into the area, it would probably wait until we get to Sunday or Monday, and anytime you make a 5-day forecast, by the time you get to the end of the 5-day period, you can't have a whole lot of confidence in that, but Sunday looks like it would be the next chance of a shower.
So things could change.
It could.
Okay, thanks, E-Wave.
And now turning to sports, Tecos are still in the running for it, aren't they?
That's right. You know, with 62 wins, they did lock up a playoff spot. We're going to tell you who they're going to be playing in the playoffs coming up next in sports. Plus, is Terry Porter coming back for his 18th NBA season? The answer is yes, but it's also no. I'll explain next in sports.
Pro 8 Sports continues with Tim Sear.
Good evening, everybody. The Tecos are busy at La Junta Park right about now as I speak. For the first time in 7 years, the Tecos are in the playoffs, and they will take on the Saltillo Saraperos in the opening round of the Mexican League playoffs. The Tecos open on the road, but their home games will be August 6th at La Junta, and they'll play on August 7th at Veterans Field in this best-of-7 series. The Tecos finished with 62 wins. That's 4 less than Saltillo, and that is the number of games they've got to win to advance to the next round. They really could use your support next week at La Junta or Veterans Field. It is also time for the running of the bulls at Cigarroa. All athletes must pick up their paperwork for their physicals. All athletes of incoming freshmen to seniors this year need to go and get their physicals done. The coach's office is open tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Cigarroa. Also, LBJ students can get their physicals at LBJ this Friday, along with Salvador Middle School and Los Obispos. So get your physicals done, or you will not be allowed on the field. Well, most people would say that here in Laredo, you can't find a golfer that's as good as Tiger Woods. But I've got proof. At the Battle of Bighorn, let me explain this. Tiger's 150 yards out with a 9-iron, and Tiger is a good shot, right? Everybody knows that. Watch how close he comes to the pin. This ball lands approximately 5 feet away, so everybody thinks he's the best in the world. However, do you remember Jorge Arechiga? Here he is juggling the ball at Casablanca just like Tiger. He hit his 9-iron 150 yards out, and do you remember what he did? He got even closer than Tiger Woods. So is it safe to say that he's better than Tiger, right? I don't think so, but Tiger and Nicklaus won the battle at Bighorn by 2 holes over Sergio and Trevino. Well, a San Antonio Spur that never won an NBA crown is now a king. After playing in the NBA for 17 seasons, Terry Porter couldn't get a ring, so he gave the Kings a ring, and he's now going to be one of their assistant coaches. Porter was drafted in the first round by Portland back in 1985. He spent 10 years there. He also played for 3 other NBA teams. The 39-year-old guard was instrumental this year in teaching Tony Parker and Antonio Daniels. He'll be remembered in San Antonio for all his charity work that he did with the Boys and Girls Club. So maybe now he can have a little bit more time to get this, watch his favorite movie, The Godfather. Bet you didn't know that. Well, with the Rocket getting in some side work on the side last night, Kenny Rogers, the gambler, he gambles against Posada and cash it in right there on the boxcars. Yanks up 4-zip. The Yanks weren't done yet. Rondell White would also take Rogers downtown. Yankees up 5-0. But the bright spot for the Texas Rangers last night, Carl Everett is still hot. He hammers this peach deep into the night, and it's definitely not playable. But if you want to see some good defense, here's the play of the night. Derek Jeter, off the bat of Rafael Palmeiro. Check him out in the hole across his body. Although the Rangers lost 9-2, you just got to love watching Jeter play some defense. Here he is again, nailing Palmeiro. The same 2 teams play tonight at 7 o'clock, so
nice
it's
play
not looking
there.
good for them. They play the Yankees now, and then they play the Red Sox this weekend, so it's not going to get easy for the Rangers.
It'll be tough. Thanks a lot, Tim. Well, you've heard of the golden egg, but today someone is the proud owner of a golden coin. That's coming up.
It started out as an empty bucket until you opened your wallets and your hearts. The table was clear until many of you stepped forward and brought in school supplies.
And it's for the kids, so it's a good cause. We want to make sure that all the kids here in Laredo get back to school with brand new school supplies.
Thanks, A Country, for making back to school a little easier for some area youngsters.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We brought out the buckets, and you didn't let us down. KGNS-TV and the Friends of the Family. We're proud to continue serving A Country.
Armadillo Homes introduces a...
And finally from us, what is believed to be a one-of-a-kind gold coin was auctioned off by the U.S. government today.
It is expected to sell for more than any gold coin ever has. The coin is a 1933 Double Eagle $20 gold coin and has never been legally available for public ownership until today. The Double Eagle will be sold at New York's Sotheby's auction house. It's expected to sell in the range of $4 to $6 million. The coin has never circulated because all 1933 Double Eagles were ordered to be destroyed when President Roosevelt took the U.S. off the gold standard that same year.
Amazing, that little coin worth almost up to $6 million.
That
much money.
First I thought it was Michael Jackson, but I saw two gloves. Then I thought it was Mickey Mouse.
Model.
Yeah. David Copperfield.
Maybe so.
Yeah. That's all the time we have for right now.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Friends is coming up next.
Have a good night.
I'm Todd Oldham. Nice to meet you.